He's out in Denver for the opening of the football season as we have another year of Sal Pal Fridays. But we're going to kick it off on a Thursday just like the NFL does, as ESPN's NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio joins us live from Denver. Sal, welcome back, pal. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, might as well kick it off on the day we're kicking off football, right, Mike?
Absolutely, man. And we just saw you on the TV and talking about this Denver-Carolina game. I'm interested to get your opinion. We'll get into what the Eagles did and everything, and I know you were covering that as well when you were back here. But they're going with Trevor Siemian. I mean, this is a seventh-round pick who's taken a knee. That's it. Are you surprised that that was the way that they decided to enter the season? I mean, is that still surprising that you're in Denver right now and that that's who you will watch tonight?
Yeah, it's a very unusual situation. In fact, it's unprecedented. There have been now 4 instances where a team started the year with a new quarterback after winning the Super Bowl. Denver's done it twice. Of course, we remember the Ravens after Trent Dilfer, and they went with Elvis Grbac. But Grbac had quite a bit of experience. This guy's got none. You can make the argument that Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. But they had some pedigree that this guy doesn't have. One went to Michigan, and the other, Wilson, just lit it up in the preseason. Trevor Siemian's coming out of Northwestern. Not exactly a quarterback factory, So
Autogram.
Oh, okay. That was how many decades ago in a different world, in a different football universe. I get the historical reference. But, color me skeptical.
I would be there right with you. What is the feeling in Denver with Siemian? I mean, is it almost like, don't worry, our defense is good enough, we didn't have great quarterback play last year, or is it legit concern because of a guy who has no pedigree and very little experience, if any? I mean, again, 1 snap in the NFL.
Yeah, I think the defensive players realize that they've got to carry this team again. It'll be up to defense for a while to win some ball games here, and just hope that Siemian doesn't turn the ball over in the red zone, because that's the number 1 killer, and doesn't put the defense in bad positions. The Broncos have a tough schedule, and it's hard to repeat, but their model, Mike, is very similar to the Seahawks model.
Yep.
When you look at it, play lights-out defense, try to run the football, and don't put a whole lot of premium in the quarterback position until proven otherwise. And when you look at it, there was an interesting graphic in the Wall Street Journal this morning. I don't know if you saw it. It was circulated on Twitter. And that was that the Broncos have now committed 59.1% of their salary cap space to defense.
Wow.
That's the tops in the National Football League. Yeah, 59.1%. Number 2 is the Seahawks at 56.4%. So it's no question this is the Seahawks model here now.
Sal Pal's in Denver, the kickoff of the NFL season tonight. Sal, I feel like a team that went 15-1, went to the Super Bowl, and has a very young roster. I don't feel the same buzz for this Carolina team. Is that accurate to say?
What do you mean?
I don't feel like people think that they are the clear favorite in the NFC.
Well, I mean, there's always a favorite in terms of the Green Bay Packers because of Aaron Rodgers. And because of the way Seahawks defense is built, they're always going to be favored. And the Cardinals are loaded. There's no question about that. I think the Eagles are in a conference that is highly, highly competitive, highly competitive. The AFC is wide open. I think the NFC is just so competitive because you have such high quality of play at the quarterback position for so many teams. So, the Panthers, I don't think they'll be really challenged in their division. People are talking about the Bucs. I don't see it. I think the Saints' defense will continue to struggle. Atlanta's got no defense as far as I can see. And they won't be able to stop anybody, especially deep down in the field. So I still see them winning the division. And if they win the division, they're going to have a home playoff game or 2. Yep. So they're going to be right there. Their defense is still pretty good.
Hey, I've been waiting a week to get your reaction on what we saw on Saturday, because this offseason from Philadelphia was wild to begin with. The whole quarterback saga. the changing of, from Chip to Doug, and then this on Saturday. I mean, was it shocking? Was it unprecedented? How would you describe what the Eagles decided to do when they traded Bradford on Saturday?
Well, Mike, I've been waiting to talk to you about it for a week because, you approach these things from a pretty smart angle. I think you're a pretty astute observer of the team, and your questions are always very good. But I don't really have any great answers for you. And what I've been trying to do is poll scouts and coaches, people in the know. I was just talking to Tony Dungy outside Sports Authority Field, and I asked him about Carson Wentz. And he said, well, they might be able to win 3, 4, 5 games. I was like, whoa. He goes, I don't think they're very good offensively. They don't have enough weapons. He said that, however, if presented with getting a first-round pick for Bradford, it's just too enticing to turn it down. Because Bradford was not going to fetch you a first-round pick in January or February. It just was not going to happen. So you had to take it. It was a mistake that they needed to fix. Signing him initially to all that money and making him a lame duck by drafting Wentz was a mistake of their own making, and they needed to fix it, and they did. And that is about as far as I will go in terms of jumping for joy about the situation. I do think that Wentz has ability. I do think that Wentz has the intangibles to be a leader. But I think there are red flags with Wentz's play that I've seen, Mike. I don't know if we have time to go through them, but I think there are definitely red flags on what I've seen so far from Wentz, both live and on tape.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear because, quite frankly, the one problem is, most rookies, they play a preseason, they get a camp. He's only played one game and doesn't have the snaps in camp. So what is it that concerns you?
Well, number one, reckless play. What I saw in the first preseason game was a guy trying to be a hero and do too much right away. And he put his body in harm's way. That can't happen. He's got to stop that now. I mean, not curtail it. He's got to shut it down. 2, his ball is wild and high. He was playing overly excited. And you don't really calm that down, like you said, Mike, until you start to take snaps in live games. 37 snaps, 24 pass attempts, starting quarterback, Philadelphia Eagles. That's a wow. That is a wow. And thirdly, he just needs to realize that you can't stay in the pocket forever. You got to get rid of the football because these guys will knock you into yesterday.
Hey, were you, Sal, surprised that they passed over Daniel and went right to Wentz, and knowing they had the bye early and that he did not play very much in the preseason and had the injury? Were you surprised they made that jump right over him?
I was. I thought they were committed to that succession plan. But the flip side of that, though, Mike, is Chase Daniel showed less than 0 in the preseason. He really did. If he had had a marginally better preseason, I think he probably would be starting on Sunday. But what did he really show?
Nothing.
Anything, in your view?
No, and the thing is that he came here supposedly with knowledge of the offense, so he didn't really show that he had that grasp.
He has knowledge of the offense, but execution is another thing. He couldn't see over the middle of the line. He was throwing blindly to the hash marks, outside the hash marks. I just didn't see it.
I'm interested in your take on the defense. There's a lot of hype in this area, about Jim Schwartz, this defense. They're getting after guys. Can they be one of those teams that that has that defense that keeps them hanging around games? Is their defense good enough to keep them competitive?
Yes. Can it win games? I don't think so, because I don't think they can take the ball away enough. I don't think they have the secondary play to do that. And the hallmark of Jim Schwartz's teams on defense is they don't blitz enough. And if you don't blitz enough, you're not going to cause the kind of pressure that's going to cause turnovers. Will they be competitive as a result of their defense? Yes. Will their defense win games? Not a lot.
Hey, the Dorial Green Beckham trade, are you intrigued by him? I mean, is he a guy that you think, wow, they stole one there? That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And they've done a pretty good job so far of making him feel part of the team. And I think, he'll be an important target for Carson Wentz. The number one reason why we are seeing Carson Wentz over Chase Daniel is Wentz can get the ball downfield. This team was 31st in the league last year in yards per attempt. 31st. And in the preseason, Bradford was regressing. He was lower in yards per attempt in the preseason than he was in the regular season last year. If you're that low in yards per attempt, your offense is pedestrian. It's anemic. And Wentz can get the ball downfield and is not afraid to take shots. And I think that's important. I'm interested in two things when they line up offensively on Sunday. One, how many shots do you get to take downfield with Wentz to open up the offense? Two, how much zone read run option plays they run with Wentz with the cracked ribs, coming off the cracked ribs. Because I know Pederson did a lot of that with Alex Smith, and he does like the quarterback to be mobile, and he does like the quarterback to gain ground on the ground. So we'll see.
I know you got to get running. Denver and Carolina tonight. Last one for you, Sal. You've been around Doug this whole offseason, and now we're getting ready. Does he seem like a guy who is ready for the challenge that's ahead of him as a rookie NFL head coach? Is this too big for him, or do you like what you've seen from him?
I love what I've seen from Doug Pederson. He's calmed this team down. He has given them identity. He has been a good handler of a lot of adversity. We'll see about his play calling and about his game management and his clock management. You can only judge that by what he does. But so far, I give him a solid A for the way he's handled this football team. I really do. And I'm not just because, I'm not saying that because I wanted Chip Kelly fired and I wanted a change of scenery at the coaching position. I just think Pederson is the right guy at the right time for this football team.
Well put. Looking forward to another year of Sal Pal Fridays. That will start next week. We kicked off the season on a Thursday with Sal. He's kicking off the season for ESPN TV, so watch him on that platform with reports from Denver all day today. Sal, always a pleasure, man. We will talk to you next week.
All right, Mike. Great job.